Okay, we're looking at a Hall package unit. The person that put it in had came back several weeks ago, she said, and told her it had a bad TXV, but since then she's not been able to get a hold of anyone. So she called me yesterday afternoon and I stopped by and I checked it, and the TXV is bad, but it's actually it was way overcharged. I don't know if somebody just put some charge in it to try to get it to go on through, and it somehow sprung the needle, but it's pretty much wide open now. Real low superheat, but you can see the equalizer line, I hope it shows up on camera, has rubbed everything it could have possibly rubbed. It's got 3 different spots on it. Of course, it goes into the suction header right up here. So what I'm going to do is, the TXV is going to take well, it'd be first next week before they would have it. So I'm going to cut out this TXV, install a piston holder with a 5-ton piston, and we will just abandon this equalizer line. I'll pull it out of there and plug it up with a little solder, and I'll add a service port on this just to have, even though we'll be using superheat from now on to set the charge. But I'm going to get started and get this refrigerant out, and I'll take some video along the way. I had to run a cord from inside because the outlet out here doesn't work, but I got an idea. Since this is a daycare, let's stick these wires outside the unit and plug them up. Oh, it just gets better and better. Look at the capacitor for it. Okay, I got 6 pounds out so far. I took out 4 yesterday, which would have been the 10. I still have about 80 psi of standing pressure, but my poor little G5 twin is getting a little warm, so I'm going to let it cool down and come back and finish it up in a few minutes. Let's go over what we'll be using for this job. We have a housing to hold a piston. It's got a left-hand thread, so you have an adapter that is the other half of that. I'm going to use a little 3/8 and a 3/8 service port in order to have a liquid line port, someplace to hook your gauge. And then of course you need an orifice sized appropriately. I always get questions on these videos about what the part numbers are for this orifice holder, so I'm going to try to zoom in here if the camera will let me so you guys can see it. That's half of it, and then you need this half as well, and it uses the little small bullet top pistons, I guess, for flow control. But that's what I'm going to put together. I'm probably going to do most of the pre-assembly right here at the back of the van. I'll take another service port and hook to a hose into my nitrogen bottle and flow a little nitrogen through the assembly as I sweat it up. This is a lot of brass. It's very hard to get enough heat on it. So in order to sweat me a nipple into it, I will use some Stay Seal 55. It's got the orange flux on it. It does a real nice job. Okay guys, I'm going to put this hard piece on first. Here's a piece of that rod I was telling you about. I'm just going to flow a little nitrogen through it while I braze it on. Okay guys, on this end, I'll just use standard 15% solder. This will be my service port. Of course, this is the inlet to the orifice holder. And you can always tell because there's a screen, if the camera will look up in there, to keep any debris out of the orifice that might be floating around in the system. So I'm going to I'll sweat this up, cool it down, and then put the piston in and put the two halves of the holder together. This is a brass cap I just screwed on loosely, hoping that it would let a little bit of nitrogen come out this T as well as out the end. Okay guys, here's our orifice of the day. It's a 87. So we'll go in this direction. And of course, if this was a heat pump system, this holder would allow it to push it backwards in heat mode. Again, this is a left-hand thread, which is always a little screwy to me. That's how she goes together. Okay guys, I put just a little nylog on the threads here, not so much as a sealant, but as a lubricant to allow it to tighten up easily. We recovered an additional 8 pounds of refrigerant. I took out 4 yesterday, which made 12, and of course there's still some in the system that'll be gassing off as time goes by here. But the system calls for 10 pounds, so it was overcharged by what, at least a fifth. And I'm assuming they did that trying to get this TXV to work. I'm hoping that's why they did it. I'll probably just unsweat it here and there, maybe. If I can make my whole assembly about 6.5 inches, it should be good to go. And there we have our TXV replacement. Swedged up this end just like the original TXV. Of course, the other piece coming off the distributor has a swedge on it already, so I should be able to sweat the 2 fittings loose on the TXV and stick this right back in its place. My favorite tool. I pulled this top corner off. I've got to take that equalizer out of there, and these pressure switch wires are hanging right down there against it, so I'm going to get something and tie them up and protect them a little bit, and then I'll try to sweat out the TXV, the equalizer tube, and get the whole mess put back in, all the while flowing a little nitrogen through the system. Okay, the new orifice assembly is sweated in. I have plugged the equalizer tube. I've had nitrogen flowing the whole time. So what I'm going to do now is cap my new service port and put some nitrogen on it and check for leaks. Well, the pressure test is holding. In fact, it's still climbing because of the refrigerant still being gassed off out of the oil. So I bubbled everything down that I did today, so I feel pretty good about it. So I'm going to hook up the vacuum pump and pull this thing down. Okay, I'm going to let that run a while, and in the meantime I'll start putting the unit back together and picking up all my stuff. Okay guys, the vacuum's been running about 15 minutes or so. I'm going to put my gauge on in a second and see where we are, but I usually let the vacuum run a little bit before I screw my gauge on. I think it helps keep the sensor clean. I'm going to repipe this drain line as well while I'm here. They stuck a piece of PEX out through here and there's no trap on it. I heard it gurgling yesterday when it was running. So I'll just put an inline trap or maybe a D-trap and let it go from there. Let's see where we are. It takes it a minute to start reacting, I hope. It's coming down a little too slow for me. I'm going to check my all my threaded connections on my hoses, snug them up a little bit, and it may just be because it's, you know, still gassing off. That compressor was pretty froze up, but we'll see. Hey guys, my battery just died in my little camera, so the remainder of this video will be brought to you courtesy of an iPhone. The vacuum has started dropping now. It's down to 830. In the time it took me to walk out and get this trap off the truck and screw it in. So I'm just going to let it run. Of course, I'll eventually start valving it off here at the gauge and seeing how quickly it climbs. But it's not climbing too fast, doesn't look like. So I'll just let it run, get her down below 500, turn her off and let her set for 10 minutes. And if she's leak free, we will start adding the 410A. Okay guys, I don't know if you can see that, it says 620. It's been off for a little while. I've got my gauges full down to the ball valve. I'm going to turn my vacuum pump back on so I can remove my sensor, and then I'll start putting the refrigerant in on the low side here. Once I get some pressure in it, I'll put my valve core back in and we'll get this thing charged up. Okay, we got just over 7 pounds in her. The data plate calls for 10. I'm not sure what it's going to be with our new piston, but I've got the thermostat on. It's in a delay right now, so it should come on any moment, and I'll start trying to get her adjusted. Okay guys, we got her. She's looking much better now. Super heat should be 12, so it may have just a touch. I'll watch it around here for a little bit. Check the indoor wet bulb one more time.
Hey guys, I had to recover some refrigerant back out of it. About 13, and it drops down as low as 9. Back up to about 14. This should be 12 right now. All good. Back up. Thanks for watching.